Feeling pretty confident, Ojin assures them that he can do it, and Loki feels that can deal with Hydra as it's nothing compared to the overwhelming energy he felt from Ashad Khan. With that, our guy leaps toward the boss with his spear and uses lighting flames when shortly he is joined by Vega, Liurk, and Haeun, who assist him in the fight. While they all manage to slice their heads off unexpectedly, the Hydra regenerates at the speed of the limit, and Jerry is scared to death as he's never heard of a Hydra regeneration that fast before. However, Ojin holds his spear and utters that he's not thinking he can win just because it can regenerate. While Haeun asks him if he has a plan, Ojin lets out that it takes 5 seconds for the monster's head to regenerate. Within those 5 seconds he plans to cut off all the heads. Vega, who seems to be hurting because of the restraints, tells Ojin that she will bless him, but our boy refuses, saying that it's the most painful when she's affected by the restrictions. He affirms that he won't see her hurting, and the goddess is deeply moved by his words. Low-key, Ojin did mean what he said even if it's only partial. At first, she was just someone he was scamming, but he grew attached to her. Just then, he proceeds to attack the monster, activating Exceed. Within 5 seconds, he breathtakingly slashes off the 3 heads with his spear. As they begin to regenerate, Ojin attacks with explosive lighting that destroys 2 of the heads. With only 2 seconds left, he decides to go even faster. Fast enough that levels up his Exceed skill, and he even earns a clue to Divine Lighting Physique. That's when Ojin soars, and charged with immense power, he again slashes the heads of the monster like a ray of lightning passing through. Meanwhile, Liurk is shocked to see Ojin transform his legs into lighting. The goddess presumes that's a skill only achievable once he becomes a 9-star. After that, Ojin immediately signals Haeun to attack. Using her stigma, she creates fire, and while it hurts, she shakes it off, thinking that it's nothing compared to the pain Ojin must have felt. With that, she creates a dragon fire and strikes towards the monster, burning it to death. As Ojin pats her for a job well done, at that moment, Haeun's stigmas starts shining. Gushing with happiness, Haeun rushes to hug Ojin, saying that she's 8 stars now. While our guy is happy for her, he gets a bit concerned as she is now 1 level away from becoming a 9-star, which is said to transcend human limits. Haeun grabs Liurk out of sheer joy while Jerry approaches the lightning wolf and thanks him for saving them. Apologizes for earlier. Our boy tells him that the stream was fun, but low-key in his head he wants to kiss Jerry as he's very grateful for him, and for getting all the myrrh crystals thanks to him. Walking towards the Hydra to see what it has dropped, Ojin is delighted with the several myrrh crystals. Absorbing the myrrh crystals, it nearly fulfills the Black Heavens quest rate with the current progress of 42%. Even after absorbing this many crystals, our boy wonders how much more it needs, and assumes that he's gonna need 1,000 more. Just then, the current rate reaches 50%, and the system informs him that the current rate cannot increase anymore. It appears that he needs higher quality myrrh crystals in order to increase the progress further. He then absorbs the 2 giant myrrh crystals from the Hydra to complete the quest. However, it only reaches 72%. With not much progress, our boy reckons that he needs at least a Hydra-level myrrh crystal, which is a 7-star boss monster, which means he at least needs an 8-star elite monster. But the problem is that Korea is pretty clean of monsters, so it'll be really hard to find a monster that strong. Thinking about it, Ojin recalls that he has yet to receive a payment from Valhalla Guild. Wondering if he should ask for high-quality myrrh crystals instead, suddenly his head hurts, and it appears that a part of Lee Shin-yuk's memories has been recovered. We then travel back to Shin-yuk's memories, where the city is going down in flames, while the people run for their lives as the fire keeps spreading. Lee Shin-yuk, standing on the top of the building, looking flabbergasted, lets out that the entirety of the city is now under the deceitful star cult's control. He reminds his brother Woo-hyuk that the incident happened 2 years ago on the 30th of June. Shin-yuk questions if he had met Isabella back then, things would have turned out differently. As the tears start streaming down his face, Lee looks at his phone and regrets, saying if only he had met her back. The memory ends and Ojin's Pix's spear art levels up to 7. Yanking out the depressing memory, our boy is left shocked and recalls Lee's memory, thinking that the place looks like Rome and something like vampires are attacking the people. The poor guy is baffled as he tries to process, wondering who's the deceitful star cult and Isabella. Checking the date, Ojin speculates that it's 24 June, and he doesn't know what will happen on 30. He questions himself if he has to meet Isabella in order to prevent the disaster he just saw, but then he doesn't seem to care what's going to happen in Italy because it's hard enough to protect his loved ones right now. However, he doesn't turn a blind eye to this memory and thinks of taking action as it's his duty as a regressor. The next scene takes us to the Valhalla Guild, where Ojin hands Lee Woo-hyuk the USB that holds the information on the Dark Star Society. Seon-young, the secretary, thanks him for taking such a dangerous mission for them, and in return, our boy asks them for a 7-star or higher myrrh crystal as the reward. Just then, Ojin asks them if they have ever heard of an organization called the Deceitful Star Cult. But Woo-hyuk refuses and lets out that it's the first time he's heard of them. Our guy then asks about the name Isabella, and the secretary catches on, asking if he's talking about the priestess from Rome, a very famous awakened overseas. It appears that Isabella Colgrande is an Aries who became a 6-star in just a year after awakening. She further adds that the Colgrande family has a lot of wealth, and they also run a dozen centers that take care of the weak that have lost their families in gate incidents. Not having concrete proof, Seon-young anticipates there have been a few assassination attempts on her recently. They assume that the Dark Art Society is behind this, adding that an organization that they assume has appeared frequently by Isabella's mansion, plus these appearances happened at the same time as the assassination attempts. Assuming that they're a different branch than the Owls in Korea, Oh-jin seems certain that they have a motive, and Seon-young responds that she has heard that the stigma she has something to do with the monsters. Hearing this, our boy ponders that the Dark Star's existence has something to do with monsters, and if a famous individual happens to possess a power that is efficient against monsters, then it makes sense that they would go after her. Nonetheless, according to Lee's memories, Isabella died on the 30th of June in the past life, and Oh-jin is determined to save her. Otherwise, the disaster will sweep through Italy 2 years later and might affect him too. However, this fella has some other intentions as well, as he thinks if he makes someone like her indebted to him, she's definitely someone he can utilize. Having a new plan in mind, Oh-jin decides to go to Italy to investigate. Back at home, he informs about his Italy mission to Haeun, and reveals that he has to go for about a week because of a quest from the Valhalla Guild, clarifying that it's an infiltration mission, so he has to go alone. As Haeun asks when he will be going, our boy lets out that he's going right at this moment, saying that it's just a short trip if he goes through the sanctum, though he doesn't know which entrance leads to Italy. That's when Vega in her tiny form volunteers to ask that for him. Meanwhile, Song is kinda upset as he won't be back for a week, and Oh-jin jokes around, asking if she'd be lonely without him. Blushing, Haeun kinda admits and asks him to call when he can. 1 hour later, Oh-jin travels through the Italian sanctum and arrives in Italy. Putting on the translation device, he looks for the Valhalla Guild's informant first, as they are supposed to be near Rabibia. As he runs to find the place, he is left muddled and freaks out as the place looks like a maze, trying to find an informant, and suddenly a weird blonde girl sneaks up on him and starts smelling him, saying that he smells good. While our boy is creeped out by what she just said, the blonde girl hides her face from embarrassment and apologizes to him. Wearing a black hat, the girl reveals that she's here for charity work but got distracted by a nice smell. Just then, she recognizes that it's the lightning wolf, which leaves Oh-jin surprised, as he didn't know he was popular among Italians too. Guessing being a Polaris disciple really gets people's attention. As our boy nods, the girl tells him that he saw the live stream where he defeated the Hydra, and couldn't believe that he's a 5-star. Well, this all makes sense to Oh-jin, as a lot of viewers were foreigners. After that, the blonde girl offers to help him with the directions, as they are hard to find in this area, and our guy appreciates the help. But then, he gapes at her with astonishment, and moves close to her to have a proper look, while the girl is freaked out and asks him if he knows her. Oh-jin finds it hard to believe that she somehow looks like the girl in the picture Seon-young showed him, the priestess Isabella Colgrande. That's when the girl takes off her hat, and utters that she thought he wouldn't know her since he's not from here. Introducing herself as Isabella, the beautiful girl turns out to be Isabella, and our boy is kinda taken aback by this coincidence to think that he would meet her here of all places. Soon after, Isabella asks him what brings him here, and Oh-jin lets out that he had to meet someone but got lost. She then decides to guide him through the way, and asks him to follow her. But the air gets kinda awkward when our fella says that she doesn't even know where he's trying to go. Later, Isabella can't seem to find his friend, and Oh-jin tells her that he can't reach them either, guessing they had an issue or something. But it appears that our sneaky main character lies to her, as they weren't supposed to meet here anyway. He plans to take this opportunity to grow closer to Isabella if he wants to use her in the future. Acting like a yandere, Oh-jin strikes his ultimate scamming trick and asks Isabella if they want to have a meal together, because he feels bad about just letting her go like this. After that, they buy a nice lunch, and Isabella says that it feels bad. However, her eyes land on the place in front of her, and she utters that this place isn't a nice location for a date. Looking gloomy, the girl lets out that Romani are discriminated against since birth in Italy, so whenever she's helping these people, she ends up thinking to herself that it's a relief that she wasn't born a Romani. She feels grateful that she was born with a strong stigma and with talent. She concludes that she's no different from the people who discriminate against them. Perhaps she's worse since she's helping them feel that bad emotion. While Isabella says she shouldn't have said something like this on their first meeting, Oh-jin speaks up that a good deed is still a good deed. He elucidates that it's stupid to consider the result, but it's even stupider to only consider the process. Listening to his words, Isabella smiles as she feels relieved and tells Oh-jin that he really is unique. but our guy just said what she wanted to hear, saying that she would love to stay longer. The girl leaves due to some work and hopes to meet him again. As she is leaving, she does a little whisper in Italian, and Ojin wonders what she spoke so softly that even the translator didn't work. After that, he also goes to find the informant and eventually meets with the Valhalla Guild informant, Paolo Lenzomi, who hands him the information on the Dark Star Society. Reading the information, Ojin gets to know that the society is growing its influence by pushing into Marco's family territory, unaware of who these people are. At that moment, Paolo tells him about the Marco family first. He unveils that the Marco family is a mafia organization that has reign over the entire underworld of Italy. They are famous for being cruel, and they will not hesitate to kill civilians because Marco Giorni is leading them. Marco was like the king of Italy until the Dark Star Society appeared. Upon hearing this, Ojin seems to remember Marco as he's supposed to be one of the 5 most evil awakened and gets to know that he's leading an entire mafia organization as a 9-star. After that, Paolo says something unusual that leaves our guy dumbstruck for a moment. The guy lets out Italy's people have a different opinion on Dark Star Society compared to South Korea's. They all are in support of the society as opposed to Korea. Well, it sounds crazy to Ojin. He confirms if they are trying to assassinate the Saintess, and Paolo answers that this is what they assume as the timing and location of their appearance are almost the same as the assassination attempts. Processing all this, our boy concludes that they pretend to be a good organization and get rid of anyone who's in their way behind the scenes. He thinks that he might have to use Vega's powers this time, and it's a good thing he asked her to refrain from manifesting because he still doesn't know how strong the Dark Star Society is after all. So if he receives her blessings, he will at least be able to run away even if he finds out that he can't win against them. Snapping out of it, he thanks Paolo for the help and leaves as he has got a lot to do. We are then taken to 6 days later, where we witness someone scampering away as some guys chase after her. The girl turns out to be Isabella, who manages to outrun them and hides in an alley while the guys search for her like crazy. Scared stiff, Isabella can't seem to move her mana at all and all her communication devices stop working. Meanwhile, she thinks that she completely let her guard down, and knowing the assassins were after her, she didn't expect the owls to get involved too. The girl believes that she needs to get away. However, at that moment, someone grabs her from behind. The guy captures Isabella and thinks that it was easier than expected. After all, they used the curse of the purple forbidden enclosure, a very advanced stigma seal. Trying to release herself, Isabella bites his hand and the guy slaps her hard, calling her a bitch. Furious, the guy instructs his men to knock her out before she tries to do anything, while Isabella, her eyes filled with tears, ponders, there is so much that she has to do, and she can't be killed like this. As she wishes this before her last moments, suddenly, a bolt of lightning strikes the area. Well, we all know who it is. Our main character makes the entry and emerges from the lighting. He annihilates the gang bastards with the spear, coming to her rescue. Isabella is lost for words, and asks him how did he find her, to which Ojin smiles, and responds that he was just passing by, calling it a coincidence. While it looks like our boy has saved the day, Isabella points behind him and alerts him that those are the people who are after her. As many of them rush towards them, Ojin could feel the aura of the Dark Star all over the place, and got to believe that it was the Dark Star Society after all. Deciding to escape, he takes Isabella and dashes away, planning to get out of Rome and reach the coast through the Tiber. As he had already prepared a boat to escape, Isabella tells her the direction to downtown, and Ojin, using his spear gun, flies away along with her. Gliding away, Ojin believes that it's for the best that they go into the heart of the city, because if they are somewhere less populated, the assassins will become bolder. However, to their surprise, the assassins mercilessly kill the civilians coming in their way, and actually slash them with weapons. Witnessing this, Ojin is flabbergasted as he thought the Dark Star Society was trying to have a good image in public, but they are being hella aggressive, which leaves them to conclude that something's off. As he thinks hard about what went wrong, abruptly, the assassins appear from the front, blocking their way. Ojin decides to give it a thought after dealing with these guys and wipes them out with his lighting power. At that moment, one of the assassins attacks Isabella from behind, who's enfolded in Ojin's arms, aiming his spear at her. However, our guy makes a bold move and halts the spear with his hand, killing the assassin with the lightning shock. After that, Ojin seems to be in pretty bad shape with many injuries, and they eventually get to the boat. He asks Isabella to leave on the boat and get out of Rome while he stalls for time. Worried, Isabella clarifies that she isn't leaving him behind, but Ojin tells her to go, which makes her question, why is he doing all this for her? Our guy, pulling up the ultimate riz, places his hand against her cheek, and lets out that he just wants her to be safe and sound by his side. At that moment, Ojin collapses and asks her to get out of here. Meanwhile, Isabella is traumatized as she breaks down in tears. That's when we see our fella smiling from the corner of his lip. While it looks like Ojin has passed out, in reality, our boy planned all this. Loki feels proud of himself for putting up a damn cool act. Lying there, he waits to receive Vega's blessing and kill all the enemies when Isabella is in danger and becomes a hero in her eyes, gushing with pride to think what a killer story he's come up with. In the meantime, the big group of enemies stride towards Isabella, saying she sure ran like a little rat, but there's no place for her to run away anymore. The enemy appears to be Marco, and while Isabella peeks at him, Ojin also takes a look at him with one eye, wondering if that is their boss as he looks really scary. As our guy thinks he should wake up Vega, Marco utters to stop with the bullshit acting and clarifies that he's not a fall for it now, calling her a bitch. Panicked, Ojin thinks he got caught but realizes that he was talking to Isabella. Just then, Isabella wipes her tears and asks Macro if he still talks to ladies like that, saying that he hasn't really changed. While the girl smiles, Marco tells her not to act coy as they will kill her easily since she can't use her mana due to the curse. Smiling like a weirdo, Isabella gets that the curse is too powerful. However, she reminds them that her stigma gets many times more powerful when it's night. This makes Ojin wonder if Ares had that kind of trait, while Marco freaked out as he is in utter shock, saying that there's no way as he used the purple forbidden and barely managed to complete it with the help of owls, that even a 7-star can't free themselves from the curse. Grinning, Isabella answers that, for a lousy 7-star, this curse might be powerful, and Marco tells her to stop acting tough, calling her a crazy bitch. On the other side, as Ojin listens to these talks, he wonders what the hell is going on, and comes to realize that Isabella has been lying this entire time. She's actually a 7-star. That's when the awakened Lee Shinyuk's memories recover, and the scene flips to the day when the city is burning and Shinyuk is regretting, uttering if he had met Isabella that day, and killed that bitch. Screaming in agony, Shinyuk regrets not killing Isabella that day. If only he could have killed her when she was weakened by the curse, calling her a crazy leech stigma bitch, then he could have prevented all this. After witnessing this memory, things take an unexpected turn and Ojin gets a mini heart attack, thinking if this is for real. Regretting his life decisions, our boy is fucked up as he just befriended a blonde sheik who is the Leech Queen, the third power in the Dark Star Society. Thinking it over, Ojin comes to realize that the cruelty to swing their weapons even with the civilians in the way, that was the Marco family, and the reason they possessed the same aura as the Dark Star was because they were working with the owls, but it was actually Isabella who was from the Dark Star. While our guy acts dead, Isabella can smell the sweet scent and intense taste. Happy that Ojin is still alive. Getting furious, Isabella lets out that it's been a long time since she found a high-quality prey like Ojin, and she almost lost him because of these guys. With a sinister expression on her face, she asks Marco and his men if they don't value their lives, attacking them with her stigma. As she kills some of them, it causes mayhem among them, and scared to death, they run for their lives as there's no way they can win against the Leech Queen. Meanwhile, poor Marco is left with one-man army as those crazy bastards run away. He threatens them. Everyone who runs away is dead to him. Realizing that it's too late now, he leaps towards the Leech Queen to attack her, calling her a leech bitch. Not even flinching, Isabella stands still, and as Marco's weapon is about to hit her, she touches the weapon and reminds him that she told him not to call her a leech. At that moment, a dark and powerful energy hits Marco and Isabella leeches off his blood. Licking the blood, she lets out that his blood tastes like garbage compared to Ojin's, spitting it out. Enraged, the Leech Queen took that curse on purpose to seduce Ojin, but Marco messed things up for her, which makes her real mad as she approaches him. As the poor guy begs to spare him, Isabella brutally rips his head off and tosses it away, saying that now she has to take care of the Marco family. Panic-stricken, Ojin witnesses this, and ponders that he'd known they'd be strong since the entirety of Valhalla Guild lost against Cheon Do-yoon, but the Leech Queen is on a whole different level, guessing it's because she's ranked third within Dark Star. In addition, he recalls that Lee Shinyuk said that the deceitful Star cult took over the entirety of Italy in 2 years, which makes Ojin wonder if the Dark Star Society will change their name to Deceitful Star Cult later. Either way, our guy decides to avoid getting involved with his vicious woman from now on, because he doesn't see a chance to win against her. After the psychotic move, the Leech Queen approaches her little Ojin, saying that he's sweeter than honey and dashing like a prince. Peeking at him with a creepy sinister smile, she says that she will never let him go while our boy nearly shits his pants, and hopes this to be a dream. Later, Ojin opens his eyes in the hospital, and moments later, Isabella comes rushing into the room, acting emotional now that he's awake. Thinking what the actual fuck, the reality punches his face as he realizes it's not a dream. Asking where he is, Isabella informs him that this hospital is run by the Colgranda family, and his family people came to help after he passed out. Adding that the assassins, as soon as they saw that they had backup, knowing that she's lying, Ojin reckons that it's not too late, he needs to cut her off and book it. Getting into the act, our guy utters that he wasn't able to protect her, and he's so disappointed in himself that he doesn't want to see her again. Upon hearing this, Isabella puts on a psychotic smile and reminds him that he said he wanted to be by her side. With a sinister stare, she asks Ojin if he will live in Italy forever, and the fella's soul nearly escapes his body as the Leech Queen scares the life out of him. Dodging the bullet, our guy instantly changes his word, and with no other choice, he holds her hands and makes her believe that he will come to Italy once he feels strong enough to deserve to stand by her. Being the sweetest guy on earth, he promises her to come back, leaving the Leech Queen in awe as she looks at him with starry eyes. Later, she comes along with Ojin to say goodbye to him, and asks when he will be back, to which our guy responds that he'll be back once he's strong. Just then, she leans forward and kisses him on the cheek, filled with love, and waves him goodbye. The kiss leaves Ojin quite shocked. After that, he travels back through the sanctum and is welcomed by the goddess, who seems very worried about him as he didn't come back to her for so long. Meanwhile, the goddess rushes to him and asks him if he saved the saintess. Our guy bawls his eyes out, saying that he's fucked. Well, it looks like he got himself a clingy psychotic lover and the poor guy got scammed, being the scammer himself. Twisting the story, Ojin confesses that he did save the goddess, but the situation took a turn for the worse. He reveals that in his past life, he died that day, so he didn't know about the saintess's real identity, and he never expected that Isabella would be a bailiff of the Dark Star Society. While Vega asks if it's not worse now than it was in his past life, our guy lets out that Isabella doesn't know that he knows her identity, which means he can use this situation well and will dig out more about the Dark Star Society, adding that it'd be even better if he uses her like a weapon. During this, Ojin apologizes to the goddess for making rash decisions when didn't even have enough information and made a mistake because he was so focused on trying to change the future. Staring at him, Vega comforts his child and tells him not to be sad, uttering that he won't have to rush himself as the pages of fate have been rewriting themselves ever since they met. Clasping him into a hug, Ojin hugs her back and assures her that he will change the future this time. Well, it looks like our main character played well again as he gains sympathy from Vega, which is a path of success. Heading back, our guy waves her goodbye and says that Han would be worried about him, so he's going home, and informs her that he has to stop by association beforehand. He asks Vega to stay in her real form as the most urgent subject has been taken care of, and the goddess says that she will wait until he calls her, adding that she should give Haeon a chance to enjoy her reunion with him. Later, at the association, Han reports to Ojin that Cheon Wusong hasn't done anything recently, and only expanded the Unawakened Security Management Center. Han elaborates that this center is a facility that supports and protects the unawakened who live in dangerous regions, while Ojin is quite surprised as he's never heard of this organization before. While Han lets out that they don't publicize or market themselves, our boy assumes that they're trying to get on the good side of the unawakened, but not marketing themselves. He realizes that he won't be able to find out right now if their plan is genuine or not. Just then, he gets going and decides to focus on the quest, since there's nothing much going on. Getting on the elevator, Ojin encounters Cheon Wusong, who hands him his card. As Cheon says that he's been wanting to meet him, our fellow recognizes him at once, and he recalls that this guy is the Owl King's son and leader of the faction of the Dark Star Society, a little snake that has infiltrated the association. Looking at his card, Ojin concludes that he's pretty young for someone in his position, and Cheon proudly says he has a lot of people who support him. Getting to the point real quick, Wusong asks him what brings him here, and Ojin informs him that he has to leave Korea soon, so he comes to discuss his schedule. As Ojin lies about this, Cheon says something unexpected and asks him if he's going to Italy again, feeling jealous as it might be an invitation from the Saintess. Low-key freaking out, our boy discovers that he knows that went to Italy and laughs it off, saying that luckily Miss Isabella really likes him. Upon hearing this, Wusong is quite shocked, and Ojin instantly catches on that he's wary of the Leech Queen, and it makes sense since his plan to eliminate her failed, believing that he wouldn't be able to do something about him after attempting something like this. With that, Wusong hopes that he will have a good time with her and affirms that it'll be a great help to the association if he has connections to someone that famous. As soon as Ojin departs, the guy pulls out his phone and immediately makes a call to his father, the Owl King. Wusong reports to his father that the Leech Queen is interested in the Lightning Wolf, so it'll be hard to eliminate the Lightning Wolf at the moment. Hearing this, his father tells him he's way too careful and makes him remember what happened to his mother. Getting intimidated, Wusong utters that he has never once forgotten, and Cheon Doyoon gives him a clear command to get rid of Ojin without hesitation if he gets in the way of the plan. As his father hangs up the phone after wishing him a Dark Star blessing, Wusong gets determined to avenge his mother. On the other side, Ojin gets out of the building and ponders that he has to fight with Wusong someday, and anticipates that not many people know about him. But soon enough, he'll be a very infamous man. Our guy decides to be the one to spread the news of how evil he is, but first, He stops by a shop to eat something. He gets 2 burgers and feels nostalgic to think how he bought burgers to go when he first awakened too, wanting to bring it to Hyun right away. However, that's when he again experiences Lee Shin-hyuk's memories. Traveling back to his memories, Lee Shin-hyuk and Woo-hyuk seem to be running away from the deceitful star cult guys. While Shin-hyuk asks about the others, Woo-hyuk tells him that they're protecting the ship. Reaching the shore, someone seems to be waiting for them on the ship while Shin-hyuk waves his hand and apologizes for being late. And surprisingly, the girl on the ship turns out to be Haeun. Witnessing the memory, Oh-jin couldn't help but wonder what Haeun was doing here. As the memory continues, suddenly, Haeun alerts the brothers to get down as they are about to be attacked by the enemies. But Haeun burns them with her firepower, even though she's hurt. Soon after, Shin-hyuk rushes toward her and apologizes as he didn't know they had tracked him down. Asking if her eye is okay, Haeun assures him that it's tolerable and lets out that he used all that money for this eye, so it's gotta do its worth. While Shin-hyuk gets a bit shy and says he didn't buy it for her so she'd think that way, Hyun pokes his face and says that she will repay him one day, although not today. Saying that she has to take care of someone, the 3 of them leave Italy. Meanwhile, all the lost memories of Lee Shin-hyuk are recovered. Oh-jin comes back to reality and gets to know that Lee bought Hyun the dragon demon eyes, which leads him to wonder what he was doing in his first life. He gets tangled up in the thoughts and wonders if she was referring to him when she said she had to take care of someone, and questions himself why he destroyed the world if she was alive. Going crazy, Oh-jin doesn't seem to have enough information to connect the dots. Arriving at the apartment, Haeun gets mad at him for not staying in touch. However, Oh-jin immediately hugs her, thinking if he missed her that badly. Haeun gets a bit flustered and our boy asks him if she thinks that she's indebted to him, but she lets out that she used to think like that long ago, but now she has repaid everything she owes him by staying by his side. As she feels embarrassed to see him react like that, Oh-jin gives her the food he bought on the way back. However, she peeks at Oh-jin, who looks kinda gloomy, and at that moment, she tells him to get the keys as they are going for a drive. Driving to the bridge, Haeun finds a good spot and asks Oh-jin to take those burgers out. While the burgers get cold, Song reminds him that not a long time ago cold burgers were a treat for them. Holding the burger, Oh-jin utters that maybe he should have called Vega and Liark too, and Haeun gets pissed, asking if he doesn't like to spend time with her or something. But it's not the case, as it turns out that our main character has grown to like Vega too. Recalling how she appeased him with the hug, he ponders that Vega trusts her completely, but the more her trust in him builds, the worse the betrayal will hurt, and this makes him afraid of her finding out about who he really is. To think that he barely managed to earn her affection. But he's the regressor that she thinks he is. And one day when she realizes that, he will have to witness that affection be broken into pieces. Going through a guilt trip, our boy wonders if he will be able to handle that. Deep down, he wants to quit all this. But if he breaks down here, he might not be able to protect Haeun anymore. He might have to live life ignorant to those who might try to come into her life, and he doesn't want that. Pondering, if he were to lose Haeun, how broken he will become. Just then, his thoughts are interrupted by Haeun telling him to chin up as she doesn't know what happened. She assures Oh-jin that it's alright to rely on others when he's hurting. She affirms that she's always by his side, and Oh-jin looks at her, getting reminded of Haeun as a kid who used to be with him and told him to trust her. At that moment he rests his head on Haeun's shoulder, and she sarcastically asks him how he would live without her. As Oh-jin lets out that he probably wouldn't, she hugs him and tells him that she needs him by her side too. Well, with that our boy concludes it doesn't matter what happened during his past life. What matters is that she's right by his side right now. He's not the real regressor, but he will strive to protect this world and Haeun, no matter what.